So coming back once again to this situation about the drone landing on a public footpath that has caused so much debate. If you're not familiar with the video or videos, I will link it or them in the description below. Essentially what it is this. A drone flyer was landing his drone on the public footpath and a dog off lead came up and took it out of the sky. I say sky, it was about 2 feet off the ground. You know, the sort of height that you'd expect a dog to catch a ball or catch a frisbee or something like that. And essentially what we're talking about is a debate between should the dog have been on lead and is it the dog's fault versus should the drone flyer have landed the drone somewhere else other than a public footpath with people and their animals walking along it. Now, even in my original video, I said, yes, there is an argument that the dog should have been on lead. Now, whilst this isn't strictly written into concrete, rock-hard codified law, it may be within a bylaw, depending on the area, that the dog should be on lead. But notwithstanding, it could be common knowledge that the area is used for dog walking, people walking, and children walking by, quite frankly. Just as in the Ariel Gray case, it was somewhat ambiguous as to whether the pathway was a shared bicycle and footpath or just a footpath. But despite that ambiguity, the court, the jury, and subsequently the judge took the view that it was common knowledge that it was used as a shared path. So irrespective of whether the police could definitively say whether that was a shared path or not, it was taken to be such by the court, and that is the basis upon which sentence was passed for manslaughter. But coming back to the situation for the moment where the drone flyer is landing a drone on a public footpath. Let's assume for the moment that it's a sub 250 gram drone, in that it can legally be flown within 50 meters of other people. One of the misconceived comments that I've seen in the comments so far is anything from 30, 50, 100 meters or whatever, that these drones cannot and must not be flown within other people. That does apply to certain drones of certain categories, but on the assumption that this was a sub 250 gram drone, it can ordinarily be flown within 50 meters of other people, and there is no specific definitive legal restriction on landing it on a public footpath. However, what you may remember, which is referred to in practically every drone safety manual, every flight school manual, if it's worth its salt, every other YouTube channel that talks about drone rules and drone safety. For example, roll the clip from Geeks Varna.
Article 241 of the Air Navigation Order covers every single drone flight, whether you're flying a sub 250 gram Mini 2 or a GVC flight with an Inspire. It states, a person must not recklessly or negligently cause or permit an aircraft to endanger any person or property. You can be flying within every other rule, but still be falling foul of Article 241. So analyse every flight to make sure it is safe and keep this essential article in mind.
If you're not familiar with Geeks Varna, it's a fantastic channel talking pretty much exclusively about drones. Make sure you subscribe down below. I'll link him down below. Fantastic channel. And of course, the overarching point of it all is this. Your responsibility for flying a drone of whatever size and whatever description and whatever category is for flying it safely, whenever and wherever you fly this drone. Now, I've had comments in the box to argue that I'm just a drone hater, but I'll prove you wrong. Here's my somewhat outdated model of a Mavic Mini, which I very much enjoy flying with the gimbal and the 4K camera on the front. I'll link it in the description below. This kit with the controller and the batteries, everything costs you something in the region of £500. I've used this in videos before now, and frankly, I think it's fantastic. So categorically, no, I am not a drone hater. I'm a drone lover. I love drones, but here's my beef with the video. These rules and restrictions have got increasingly more restrictive and difficult to follow in recent years. because you get people flying these drones in the path of an aircraft. Now, you don't need a lawyer to tell you that that's a stupid idea. You get people flying them over nuclear sites. Now, you don't need a lawyer to tell you that that's a stupid idea. You get people flying them over prisons and other restricted areas. And again, you don't need a lawyer to tell you that that's a stupid idea. But equally, and I didn't think you need a lawyer to tell you this either, but despite the fact that you can technically and legally fly these drones, such as this one here, within 50 meters of other people, if you were flying it up in somebody's face, that is going to be dangerous. And I don't think you need a lawyer to tell you that that is going to be a stupid idea. And much more than just a stupid idea, we have the Air Navigation Order of 2016, Article 241, which provides that a person must not recklessly or negligently cause or permit an aircraft to endanger any person or property. Moreover, Article 265 of the Air Navigation Order provides that it is a criminal offence to contravene the regulations contained within this law and regulations made within the order. And ultimately, what's likely to happen if people keep flying them in, let's just call it stupid places, in stupid ways? These restrictions, these rules, these regulations are going to get even more restrictive and even more difficult to follow, and they are just going to essentially ruin it for everybody else that wants to recreationally fly these drones around. Ultimately, what I can tell you is that if this ended up in court, the court is going to look at the situation for what is this public footpath ordinarily used for. It's ordinarily used for people walking, it's ordinarily used for people walking their dog, and on occasion somebody might land a drone there, based on the arguments that will be put forward. However, the court is going to take the view of a hierarchy as to who is putting who in the most danger. Somebody flying an aircraft, which is potentially going to cause somebody or something or some property injury or damage, the court is going to take the view as per the Air Navigation Order 2016, which provides that they must not negligently or recklessly cause or permit an aircraft to endanger any person or property, which includes dogs, by the way. And the court is going to take the view that a person or property will include dogs or animals that are expected to be moving about in that area, notwithstanding that they really ought to have been on a lead. That's not the end of the matter, and it doesn't absolve the drone flyer of responsibility. The ultimate result of all of this is that these rules will be made more restrictive and curtail the freedoms yet further of drone flyers, and eventually it's going to say something along the lines of, you must not land it on a public footpath. If people or dogs, animals or whatever are injured in situations like this, the courts are going to take a view, and then the CAA or whoever is responsible for creating these regulations is going to create a regulation that provides that you must not land on a public footpath. That's the way that it will go, and I tell you from experience, that is what is likely to happen if these situations keep popping up. Because a court is going to take the view that the drone flyer is putting other people in danger with an aircraft, because these Air Navigation Order regulations apply to all aircraft, regardless of the size and category. So regardless of all the misconceived ideas and views and opinions and misunderstood rules and regulations, those are the rules. That is what a court is going to decide, and in my view, that is why this drone flyer should have landed elsewhere. So please remember to like and subscribe, and as always, thank you for watching.